Hey, everybody. So, good evening or afternoon, depending upon where you're at. Um, we're just going to get started and people will start filing in, obviously. But what you're interested in Disney and LUV. Hey, Jay. So, hey, LW. Hi, Aaron. So, let's just start and then people will just funnel in as we begin. So let's just get into right off the rip. We have two. We have Disney and LUV. So let's just start. So Disney, let's get rid of this 8 day. So the biggest issue I see with Disney is you're in this trading range right here and you're trying to break it and you're just having a heck of a time with it here. Drop this down. There it is. Okay. So you have this range right here, roughly, right? You undercut it here, bounced, keep going. Here's your larger issue. You're unable to get above that 50-day moving average. And that's going to be an issue. And that's something that you're going to have to address. Until you're getting above that, you're going to have an issue there. And it's not something that I would get involved with until that happens. So I'd want to get above this 181 before I really got involved with it, because that's the top of this range. So let's get rid of these indicators for a minute. And what you're seeing is you got this weird little wedge. I mean, you can extrapolate this one out and argue that it's really from here up, right? Which gives it roughly the same trajectory. But until I get through that, and until I get through this 50-day moving average, I really don't see a sense in playing with this one. I just don't. It's really got to get through that. So you're welcome, Jay. So let's look at this LUV. Now, this is somewhat interesting to me. I like how you came to that. I like how you're coming to this 200 and bouncing. There's a really interesting pattern here. And I don't know that you're going to go up right away. But you see that range? Like, look how tight that is. I mean, that's super tight. And if you clone that and you move it over here, I mean, that's just insanely tight. So to me, breaking that here, right? If you broke this level here, you should be able to have an attempt to get back up here. Now, you're going to have some issues along the way, right? Your 200-day, hold on, right here. Your 200-day is holding, but you could start trying to get above your 21 and then your 50s all the way up here. So you have plenty of time before you are trying to get to $60. This is really interesting. So I would argue that, it shouldn't really break the 200-day with everything that's going on. And we're seeing a bounce in smaller cap names. So this should bounce. This should have a nice bounce to it. So I like this idea. I think this is very interesting. So I'm going to just look at something very quickly that I've been ignoring. Yeah, that's setting up to bounce. That whole sector is setting up to bounce. Let's drill into this sector. This is jets, global jets. Let's just drill into this for a minute. Oh. For some reason, there we go. Got a little volume. And for some reason, you're not giving us that. There we go. So, yeah, I like this. see how the RSI, like look down here. See how the RSI is basically even on the bottom? So really for that whole sector, you're looking for 2405 for this to flip. And it can go higher. This is a very interesting trade, and this would be a trade. I mean, it's not something that I would stay in long term. I think that the whole sector is going to have issues, but this can go from 24 to 27 fairly quickly. There's a decent 10% here. There's no question about it. So it's definitely something to consider, without a doubt. I like the idea. Hey, OT. Yep, no problem at all. Have a great night. So, hey, Blades. Oh, you never know who's on here. ADM and MOS. Let's do it. So Archer Daniels Midland. I mean, this is a pretty significant break, right? I'm going to leave this RSI up in here because some of these they're fairly interesting. Like I like how this is broken and how it's trying to get back over. But here's what you really need to see with Archer Daniels Midland. Look at this level. See how you hit that low and you're right there. And we tried the one time and failed. You have to get over this and then start trying to work your way up this. The issue that you're having and going to continue to have is, see this red bar right here? And I'll highlight it through this and through this. So what you're seeing with this red bar is that red bar is in control. Okay, so let's just drop this down. Oop. So that red bar is in control. Okay, let's get rid of these indicators. So what that means is that when this red bar hammers down like that and then I base, I'm forming a what? I'm forming a bear flag, right? So as I form that bear flag, what you're going to start seeing is you're going to start seeing an issue. I need to get back over this before I would even consider buying it. And then you have to work through this entire red bar. So this one I'm not really too crazy about as far as ADM. Let me see what the other one was that you wanted to go over. MOS. Let's take a look at MOS. So MOS, yeah, I mean, I don't see a big need to rush into this one either. Let's throw these in. So I don't see a huge need here. I mean, I get this. I see this. The RSI is running up on Mosaic, but you have a lot of work to do. When you sell down like this, you have a lot to do because it's not going to just go up like here. Look at this. This is a really easy way to determine what you're going to be facing. So you overlay volume by price, right? And notice the shelves that are up here. So like that's all the resistance that you're going to run into. That's all people up there that haven't been able to get out, that are going to try to get out of this MOS Mosaic. And you're going to run right into your 50 right here as well. So it's not something where, here's your 50 day. So it's not something that you're going to really want to play with. You're going to have to let these work themselves out. Mosaic and Archer Daniels Midland, let them work themselves out and start getting back in the channel. Like if you look at these two names, right, they're very similar, right? So like, I mean, there's your channel. You broke your channel. That's it. You have to get back into that. And I don't know that I'd be trying to be playing this for 2 or 3 points, because to me, the bear flag's still in control. And we broke here, right? I mean, Mosaic broke here and it tried and it failed. So we have to watch and see if it tries again, then go from there. So AVGO. Okay, AVGO. Let's do it. So AVGO, we are. Yeah, I mean, you're right there. That's a really nice break on Broadcom if you get it. A really nice break here. Look at this. Now let's overlay some indicators with it and get an understanding of what's really going on here. So what I like about this is that you're clear. And look at Friday's bar. You went to the 21 day on Broadcom and you just happen to close above all this. And you just happen to close above all this. So a lot of people are going to tell you to wait till you're up here. I mean, you could actually make an argument that this is actionable now. I would, before I got involved, I'd want to see actual real volume, but this pattern should look very similar to what we're seeing with a lot of large cap names out there right now, where you're just, let's get rid of this volume by price, where you're just seeing a huge base, right? Well, let's just even take this. You can see you've been basing since back here. You've been basing since January. So just looking at it from that standpoint, you can see that. And I think it's really important to understand that. So for me, looking at it, see how this slopes down? I would look for that break and see if you get it. But I like that a lot. Pardon me. So, but I like this a lot. I like what's going on right here. I like how it's all congested and now we're breaking out to the upside. So I think this has potential. I'd like to see more volume, but we're going to have to see. We're going to have to see him wait. See if we get it or not. Hey, Tom. So, yeah, I agree with this. They look really oversold. There might be a dead cat bounce in the airlines. I agree with that, Jay. PNGR. And just keep popping symbols out there. Gotten that one wrong. PNGR I can't find. PNGR. Nope. Keep going. DMTK. I could see this. I can see doing that. 20, you mean 2022? 21s are expired. DMTK. So I know a lot of people are watching this one, and I get it. The issue that I see with it is that you're really kind of wedged in here, right? You're fighting, but you've already completed this pattern. So this was your break. This was your morning star. You broke below it. Now you're trying to close over it. I don't have much room before I get to this level, right? So I really only have $1 on that break before I even get to that level. So I'm not entirely sure that this is something that I would play with until it starts getting through all that. That's way too much stuff to get through. For me, I would just hold off. I understand why you like the name. I understand the growth behind it. But to me, let's just get rid of everything and look. I mean, there's just too much work that needs to be done there. Let's do planter. No, we didn't do spice yet. And HIBB, I'll do an update. We'll do planter, and then I'll do space, and then we'll do an update. So let's PLTR. So let's get into this one. So really what we're seeing here is just a really solid pattern, but I don't see it going anywhere anytime soon. So what we're going to have to see here is we're going to have to see a nice consolidation before we rally through this. Now, if you get rid of these indicators, you've just sold straight down, right? I'm going to show you one that this looks exactly like. It's going to look exactly like this. Okay, it looks just like ARK. They're the single largest shareholder or second largest shareholder. You know, they're gonna follow one another now, because whatever ARK does, if they start to lose value, ARK has to, you know, sell stock if they lose value. So they could add to it, but most likely that what they'll do is they'll just sell down as their NAV drops. So I would not be rushing into that. Now, space, you know, planter, I would just avoid. Space, we're going to see what happens tomorrow, right? We have to worry about this. So if you're along this, congratulations. This is about as good as it could get. They went up. They didn't have any issues. It went off without a hitch. They had a little delay. That delay didn't do anything. It was really cool to see. A lot of positive comments. It should at least be up pre-market. I would not be a buyer of this until I see the dust settle. And I'm just going to walk you through some of the things, and we can start on a weekly. So if I was going to play this, I definitely would not be buying it pre-market. If I was long this, you know, I would be in a position where I would be a seller, because I don't know how it's going to get any better for them short term. I really don't. So this is not something that where I'd be looking for an entry. I'd be waiting to see if I broke this level. See this wedge line? Then I'd be waiting to see if I broke this line. And then I'd be waiting to see if I broke that line. So these are the three that I would start to use, right? We could take this out for a moment. And I would wait to see if I break these. And then I would just keep moving my stop up. Now, you very well could come in tomorrow and it'd be above 62.80. And then all of a sudden, if you are, you're going to have to trade SPICE a little differently. And I'll just do this on the daily because it's just easier. So how you're going to have to trade it is, and we can get rid of all this for a moment. So what you would do, just to get all you're doing is getting a rough guide. That's all you're really looking for. You take the low and that high peak, and it gives you an understanding of where you're at. So if you broke 62.80, your next level is 74.30, according to the fibs, roughly. 81.41 is where you're looking at. If it gets through that, 92 if it gets through that. So if that happens, I mean, at least you have some levels that you could look at, right? And this is just taking the fib levels based upon the recent peak. The recent peak and then the low. But that's how I would play it. But I definitely would not be a buyer of this off the open. You know, I would be very cautious of this one. So let's just keep going. HIBB. So HIBB, I was thinking of covering yesterday in the top 10 list just to go over, but I try not to make them too long, make the videos too long, and just covering everything over again. But let's just review what's going on here. So if you're fortunate enough to get in this one from that top 10 list, you can see how you broke the wedge and you're up here. You have two channels. You have a channel right here and you have this channel up here. You're hitting both of those. So I would watch this if I was long it, and I'd have it on a really tight leash. This is not one that I would be jumping right into at all. I would be biding my time. It's not one that I feel the need that you need to be like in right away here. Let it get through those levels. Let it get through here, right? And if it looks like it's going to reverse on any reason, just move on. It's not worth it. That's just to me. LSPD. Let's look at this. I still like this name. I know a lot of people are discouraged by it, but to me, it's acting fairly good. And for this, I'm going to throw something in so we can look at this a little bit. I'm going to put the 8-day in here. And what you're going to see with the 8-day is very, very clearly that you are above it again. And this happened with a lot of software names on Friday. They got back above the 8-day moving average. So you have a little wedge here. We bounced off the 21. Now we hit here and now we've gone. So I would expect this to come here and challenge this level very soon. I don't think it's going to be that hard for it to do that. And then you're going to have this wedge that's already put in here. Look. So you broke it. You bounced right back into it. You can see the other part of it right here. So I like this LSPD. I know that some people are, upset that it didn't go straight up or that it actually probably came down and triggered them. It's got them to sell between the 8 and the 21 day. But that's what the market does on those short weeks with light volume. Just tricks us. Happens all the time. Not much you can do about it. Let's just see. Do I think, let's just keep going here. Now, let's do now. And then we'll do CCJ. Now, upswing. Okay, wait for this to load in. All right. So now, let's get rid of this. Too big. You're setting up for sure. I've been watching this because I really, there's a lot of stocks like this that have these enormous bases that have been going back for a year. And look at this. All right, we don't even need this or this. See how you broke this? Oh, sorry. See how you broke this? And now you've bounced, cut, undercut, bounced, and you keep trying. I mean, it's exactly what you want to see, right? That's what you want to see. But here's my issue with it. Nobody seems to care anymore. Like this line, if you look at this, we're just flatlining the whole time. Nobody's really caring about it anymore. So that makes me a little concerned about putting on a position if I don't have the volume. But it looks great. Like if you break this, your argument would be that you're going to here. You're going to 600. I mean, it's solid 10%. I'll take it. Well, 8%. CCJ. So to me, the way that the 8, see how it's riding like the 8-day down? So you broke here. Let's get rid of all these indicators. So you broke down, right? You had a rising. Let's get rid of everything. Let's get rid of all these. So let's just go to this. Okay. We'll just start so you can just see this pretty clearly. Here's your line. Okay. Hitting it, hitting it, hitting it. Break, right? That's not what you want to say. Now take that line and now overlay it with this. Right? This bar is in charge, right? The red bar is in charge. What is it making? It's making a bear flag. We have a bear flag failure here where it tried to break. And then it tried to get to the top of the flag and clear that. It was unable to do that. And then what did it do? It tested this level again. And second time was the charm and it broke. So I would avoid this. I can overlay all this with it, but it's just adding exactly to what we're seeing where the 8-day is being sold And now I have the 21 crossing the 50. So this is just an outright avoid. I would just completely avoid that swing. I don't know what, I don't know. Oh, what is this? PNRG. Okay. PNRG. Okay. No problem. I just didn't want to keep searching and wasting everyone's time looking for it, but we found it, so we're good. All right, let's get into it. So here we are, right? I mean, you're getting above that 200-day moving average. You're sure as heck trying, but you have a lot of work to do. And let's just look at this. Let's just look at this a little cleaner for a minute. Let's get rid of all these indicators. So, I mean, this is really what you're dealing with. Huge breakdown, and then we're here, right? So this was our level right here. We're hitting it. Now we're trying to rally over it. Then we're breaking down. So we're trying over and over again to do this. See that? So what I'm looking at is something that has a lot of work to do. So for me, really, before I would be truly interested in this, would be $59. So snow, I like snow. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I saw snow. I like this. I don't know why I thought I saw snow there, but I like this trade a lot. I just missed it Friday because I didn't really want to put in. This is from something else. Let's remove that text. I didn't want to put new trades on Friday because I really wanted to see. I mean, in regards to for the newsletter. I really wanted to see what was going to happen with the day and see what we were dealing with. But this is just doing everything right. Look. I mean, everything fired off. Look. Volume. I mean, it was just across the board, everything that you wanted executed. So volume, I mean, RSI straight up. There's a trade here tomorrow in the snow. What you really want to look for if you're looking for a trade, just all you're looking for is a higher high on volume. In the first 15 minutes, you're probably going to see it. You're finally above the 200-day. We just came out with the 200-day this month, and you're finally above it. So I'd be looking at that. I think this has potential to be a solid trade for sure. I really like how you're breaking out here. My hope from a position standpoint would be that it forms a flag here and doesn't break out right away. I think the chances of that are pretty slim. I think it's just going to go. Yeah, the QFIN and JFIN. I mean, look, I'll go over these, but I'll go over QFIN, but you need to stay away from these names. This is nothing compared to what can happen to them. For those people that were in Lucking Coffee and remember Lucking Coffee, I don't even know if that symbol's around anymore. Now it's LKQ. So, or maybe that's something different now. They don't have this anymore. Luckin. Let me see if they have that anymore so you can see what you're dealing with here. Lucking Coffee. Right? This was going to be the killer of Starbucks in China. And then you just came in one day. I won't let me go back that far. Let's do it on a weekly. And this was one day. Okay. This was one day. See how it's falling from 50. You think it's done. And then you're here. And then one day they just halt it. And the next day they open it here. So and that's a halt. So literally one day you're in at 26. And that when they open it hours later, you're at 5. So, the amount of risk that went up, and I'm not saying that this is having something fraudulent going on. What I'm saying is you need to be aware because these are telling you that something's going on. That whole sector is telling you need to be aware. And I would be selling any rallies on any of those names. Futu, Tiger, any of them. I mean, they're all just to me, any rallies are just shorts. Any of those names. And you know, it really just resonated with what they did on, DIDI. It was I understand why they did what they did, but it, it doesn't bode well for confidence that they are concerned about anybody that's actually in their positions or that's in the stocks. Yeah, Swing, I like it too. So let's see, what else do we have? Hey, Andrew. NIU. Okay, Sandy. No, this is NIU. Let's do it. So I like this. Let's throw these in. I bet you they look good. Yep, they look great. It's crazy. If you look at charts for so long, you can tell where these lines are. So let's look at this. So here's our wedge, right? In our channel, and we're finally breaking through it. And what I like is you come up, fail, test, right? Remember, I always use this little line. First mouse gets what? The trap, comes back down. Second mouse gets the cheese. So this is setting up to move. And you're setting up, let's throw these indicators back in so we can look at it again. You're setting up right on this 200-day moving average, which is perfect. I'd like to see more volume of a volume spike and people actually care that this is happening. But no matter what, it's still happening. But I'd like to see more volume. And I'd like to see a break above this. That almost makes me think that there's a point of control somewhere in here that may be an issue. Hold on. So let's just see that they're going to load that in. It's loading. There we go. So now you have a VWAP issue above you, but you don't have a point of control issue. So that I like it. I would just argue that you need more volume. Hey, Kevin. Yep, no problem. DBA, please. Yep, you got it. So this is telling you that commodity prices, right? Agriculture, that they're having an issue. I would be careful here. But the only thing about this trade is, let's say that this agriculture fund was moving on the inflation trade, right? Here's the only thing that I would say to you, because I was looking at this today. See this break here? Look, let's clone this. You always try to clone your lines and see where they land, because that kind of gives you the best trajectory. You want the angle. The angle is what gives you the trajectory. That trajectory is really what you're looking for when you're looking at these stocks, okay? That said, let's just keep going. So you see this on DBA? Look at this. Very similar, right? So this could be something that bounces off of this and goes higher. The only concern that I would have is that you just have too many things that are pointing out that it's just simply not going to go higher. So that would really turn me off a little bit to it. The 50, the 21, the 8, everything pointing down. This is just sloping down. Like there's nothing really good about it that would let me think that we're actually going to bottom. So I would need to see something before acting on it. Let's go through this. Hey, Brandon. So no, I could care less who's in what. I don't even pay attention to stuff like that. Honestly, I could really care less. To me, look, we got in this in the newsletter at 78. It went to what? After that, it went to 81. It pulled back. I think a lot of people should be looking at this name. And the reason I think they should be looking at it, and I think a lot of people are looking at it, because what you've seen is you've seen a change in their revenue stream. Like they thought they had competition. They don't have competition now from Google for 2 years. that changes exactly how people are going to view this company and what they're going to look at. So to me, no, I wouldn't even be thinking twice about that. Like the more the merrier. What I'm really looking at is this. And I saw this with a couple names. I like how this is following exactly what I need it to follow. I need to see volume. I'm in the trade. If it closes below 74, I'm out. But see how like a lot of these software names closed above their 8-day. You know, they really look to me like they're going to go higher. Like I'll show you another one that I was looking at today, and it's different space, but like look at this. Like here's shop, right? You're in this flag, you're just basing. All of a sudden, we just close above the 8 after breaking it and getting ready to go into this gap. So with like TTD, just to get back to it, no, I don't see that. I understand your concern, right? You don't want like short hands on your trade, but I don't think we have that. I think we're okay there. I like this, and I think it has massive potential. And the only thing that I see here, like, look, let's do it this way. Let's get rid of all of these. Let me just show you this. And this is another reason maybe that I'm not vocalizing why I'm not concerned. You see this downtrend? Okay. This is your breakout bar, right? We all agree that's our breakout bar. Okay. So I'm going to get rid of the downtrend for a minute. So on this breakout bar, where's the majority of action taking place? Is it taking at the bottom part of the breakout bar or the top part of the breakout bar? It's taking part in the top part of the breakout bar, right? So really what I have here, if you do it this way, just take a quick look at it, and you can probably clone this. It'll probably fit almost perfectly right in here somewhere. There you go. Let's slide it up just a little bit. So what do I have here? I have a bull flag that's up top. I have a high tight flag. Why would I be concerned? What level am I staying above? Am I staying above this level? You know, I had one a couple days below it. I'd like to stay above it, but I'm not breaking down. I'm not closing below the initial day of the formation of the flag. I'm testing it to get your stock. I mean, that's the game, but it's sometimes they get us and sometimes they don't. But I think that, I think it looks great. I like it. I like the trade. So I hope that answers the question. Hey, Jordo, TMDX, let's do it. This looks like one that was part of that squeeze the shorts. I get it. I mean, I see it. See this level? See how you're holding it? See how you undercut it and then you bounce back through it? This is usually what it takes to break out. But you see all these wicks? I'm going to drill into the volume. See all these wicks? You have a wick here, wick, right? You have wick city. So what you really need to do is wait for that to clear itself out. 35.25 would be your trade there. Let's look at these. Yeah, you're above your 8. Look, this is curling, but I have no volume. Nobody seems to care. Maybe they care over 35.25. I'd look for 35.25 on that. I think that could work. So, Snow, I hope I answered, Donnie. If I didn't, ask me again. I'll go over it again. I don't know that you have to do that. Like, it depends on how you want to market yourself. Like, if AMEH is working, right? Like, that's not a pattern, right? We all know that's not a pattern. Like, we all know that this is not sustainable, right? AMEH, we all know that that's going to end. And when it does end, it's probably going to end with some type of like nasty evening star pattern, because this is the 8-week. Just to put that in perspective, right? This is where your 8-week moving average is 52.75. Okay. Look at where your 8-day is 72. So like this thing is just moving so far ahead, but I'd be very apprehensive to sell it, because maybe it gets acquired and we're not aware of what's going on with it. There could be a litany of things that are going on. So you want to be very careful about getting out of winners and just let them ride. Now, if I started breaking down and I took out a lower low, and I just want to point this out, you've never really had a lower low except one day. You had a bearish engulfing right here. And then what happened? It just kept going higher. So I don't think you need to view it that way. Now let's go through and look at what's probably going to happen. So I think you're going to do something like this. Okay. I think you're going to do something where you run up one day and then you come down and then that's the end of it. Right. And I think that's what's going to happen on this one too. This is sun. I'm just waiting for it. Like this is already starting to show signs for those people that are playing ASAN. You're already starting to see signs, right? See, I'm going higher and higher. Like, let's move this all the way. Let's just get rid of it all for a moment. Okay. See, I'm going higher and higher here. See how this is going lower and lower? Hold on one second. Right. See how this is pointing lower? This is going higher. So that's a negative divergence. That's just a question of if, right? If it's going to be today or if it's going to be tomorrow, but it's going to be when. Just think about it like that. So, it's a matter of time. The shippers are different. Like you have to watch the shippers right now. Like you have to understand what's going on with shipping. So I don't know how ZIM is going to benefit from what's going on, if they are going to benefit or not. Like the one stock I put in the top 10, I think was, I think this is the symbol, if I remember correctly, right? So like the reason I put this one in the top 10 is because they deal specifically with Southeast, like their large portion of their revenue is Southeast Asia and containers. And when they have the Delta variant, they have shut down this port, right? And they put it with a skeleton crew of like 15, 20%. Well, these containers were going for $1,000, $2,000. Now they're up to 20 grand. So that's going to affect this company. I don't know how much something like that affects ZIM. I don't know, because their shipping seems to be more FedEx UPS related from the way that I've looked into it, right? They're just based in Israel. So I really need to see what it does here. The fact that we closed below the 50-day and we're unable to get above it really concerns me. So we're getting a little curl here, and maybe the RSI pops back over 50 and maybe we get through this and retest. There is a little wedge here, but I'm apprehensive with it right now. It needs to prove itself a little bit. Let's take a look at this. NASCAR. Let's take a look at SNTG. So we're going to have to drill. You need at least 30 days to view a stock, or at least 30 data points. Let's go to a 5-minute. I mean, I wouldn't go near this until it does something. So like all you're doing, they're just walking you down. It's only been the one day, but all they've done since that one day is just walk you down. Right? As soon as you break the opening bar on these, you're done. I mean, you could see that, right? As soon as you break the opening bar, that's at least like a 5-minute or a 15-minute on an IPO, and you break that low, you're done for the day. You might rally, but you really shouldn't even play them again if that's what you're trying to do, play IPOs until they clear that next level, even though you're paying up for it, because this is usually what transpires. They just sell down. So I would watch that. You're welcome, Jordo. Go to Jim. All right, go to Jim. When you say if something closes below X, you will exit. Do you exit moments before the market close, or do you exit the next morning? That day. I don't give it till the next morning, because I could get hit. Right? It's doing that for a reason. What that reason is, I don't know. I don't want to know. It's hit my level. I'm out. And go to on Saturday, I kind of walk through another way to determine that, to get out a little bit earlier. And I can review that at another time, but it's when you see it break that level and I'm looking for the close. If I'm within 5 minutes, I'm usually out. Like I don't need to be there for the last minute. So let's just see there. Yep. So SPLK. And this rule with the dot, I don't know if I'll have that one or not with the dot. I'll have to take a look. SPLK. Come on. There we go. Splunk. So this played out perfectly, right? For those that traded it, you clear this wedge, and then that was it. Now you filled this gap, right? Here's actually your gap fill, right up here, right? And now you've tried to get above that. And what's transpired? You've rejected that area, right? So by rejecting this area right in here, it's not something I would play with. Now we can overlay the indicators with it, and you can see you're heading right into that 200-day and you stopped. So that would make me concerned. I rejected this level and I rejected the gap. So if I was long this and I had a nice trade in it, I would already be out. I would definitely be out if I wasn't out already just by breaking that low. That alone would get me out of the trade. You tweeted some kind of price entry and exit video on Twitter, but can't find it in the YouTube. Am I measure these videos exist? Did they exist? I find that odd. Anything that's on YouTube should be in. Anything that's on Twitter is on YouTube, right? Any of those. Anything that I post on Twitter would be on there. Regarding shipping containers, had to shut down the port of Tijuana, the largest port in the world, not far from me. Right, further inland. That's what. Did they shut it down completely? So, I mean, that was my point with this trade. And I don't follow all of it. I used to follow the Baltic dry index like really, really close. And I don't follow it that close as I used to. But you used to be able to see a lot of like really big moves on these. Used to be able to see like really big moves. So, I mean, I'll just stick with this one. I don't want to confuse everybody. But I'm thinking that this is going to get to 79 fairly quickly. So we'll see tomorrow, and we'll see if we get the move that I think I'm going to get. So, yeah, if they shut it down completely, that's kind of the vibe I'm getting, that this is just beginning, and I think that's why you're going to see some inflation kick in again and prices go higher on some things. So is that what it is? It's the third largest port in the world. Yeah, that's an issue. So, and you could see pricing increase, which would also explain the inflation trade coming back on. So that's interesting. Thanks for sharing that, JD. That's actually important. I like Roku. I think Netflix has major issues. So I'll just walk through it. So Netflix can't get above this. See, here's the thing about Netflix you have to remember. Netflix was in a position with original content and they were crushing it. And there was no other game in town. Okay. Now, when I go on Netflix, I don't know about you, but when I go on Netflix, I can't find anything that's great. Right. On top of that, they're purposely not doing these cutting edge documentaries that they used to do that were driving people on there. And I'm not sure why they're not doing it, but it's very interesting. So I paid a lot of attention to this with streaming services. So there was a video that's like one of their largest downloads called Icarus, 700 million downloads. The guy that did Icarus did another video. They didn't even pick it up, which is just insanity. And they won an Academy Award for Icarus. So I don't know what they're doing with their content or what their move is. I will say this. I will say that you are seeing these companies get a little tired, and this is getting a little long in the tooth. And, right now Disney has a great program. A lot of people are interested in Disney. Their numbers are through the roof. I don't like the stock pattern right now, but if you were to argue what this is, I'm just going to point something out. This is a cup, right? Let me get rid of my 100 lines on this. Okay. This is a cup. Okay. This is a handle. Okay. So this could be getting ready for a major break. So there's a couple things I'm waiting to see if they happen. And if they do, I'm going to get heavily involved in this. But there's a couple things that have to happen first. But if this transpires, it's not even a question of which one you need to look at. Now you're going to have to deal with this again, August 11th or earnings, and with this company, you just don't know. You can overlay earnings with it and look, right? Sometimes it goes straight up, sometimes it comes straight down. So you're just going to really have to watch that. But overall, it's not even a question. Ruku's definitely one to focus on. So yeah, I think it is accurate, JD. I know the one got shut down. I didn't know that the other did, and I know one of them they went with the skeleton crew. I don't know, Brandon. I mean, well, why Leaps? It's a $14 stock. Right. I mean, it depends on what the leaps are. I don't want to get into options tonight, but if you want, if you're not part of the community, if you're part of the community, just DM me and I'll go over option leaps with you. If you're not part of it, just email me at arate@aratetrading.net. Here, I'll throw it up here, and we can go through them. But there we go. So, but I don't know. I mean, to me, email me and I'll go over them with you. I don't want to really turn it into an option class tonight, but for obvious reasons. I like this a lot. I mean, the one thing that I kept showing people and telling people that people need to understand with this is a 21-year secular break. Like, go find me another 21-year secular break. They're very, very rare. And, people always want to buy the next EV company. They're not getting it that the game's already over. They have 150,000, 200,000 now, I think they're up to, in Bronco EV orders and F-150 orders. Like, game's over. These smaller EV companies had a chance, but I think they're going to get their lunch eaten, frankly. Yeah, if they're trying to touch the younger viewer, I don't really get it. I don't see it. The people that I know that have younger kids, they're all over Disney. They love Disney. I mean, I get it. I still have all of them, but like for me, the one thing I watched recently on Netflix that you have to watch it is if you like dark but dry humor, was that Afterlife show with Ricky Gervais. I mean, it was brilliant. But they just don't have stuff like they used to. NNOX, let's do it. Get rid of this monthly. So this was a great example of a stock that just sell the news, right? I mean, actually, we don't even need any of this. Let's just get rid of all of it. So we get rid of these two. Okay. So this was when the news came out that everything was going great for them, right? And then they opened. Everybody thought it was going to go to the moon. This is what I'm saying with like space. Stuff like this can happen tomorrow where it opens up and then just gets hammered. So what you're going to see is this just completely, right, trade down. Now, if I was in this, I'd be very concerned again. I've already broken this level. I could bounce up here, fail, and come back down. So I've broken my rising wedge. I would completely avoid this. I mean, even if you take out the anomaly, right? Even if you take this out, which is very hard to do because that's very substantive, and you can actually see it from up here, right? So it's very hard to take that out. But even if you did, you're still in a downtrend. So I would avoid this. I mean, let's get rid of this and I'll show you. You need to see it bottom, right? So if you were really interested in this, here's your bottom. Okay. See how you cut here, undercut, then rolled. So this is really your bottom, right? So you've cut that bottom out. You need to get above a high before you can do that. You can actually even argue if you want that it was back here. It doesn't really matter. They're both going to serve the same purpose. You can go here if you want. You need to get above this to state that this bottom is actually in. So that's really what you're looking for, right? A break of 36 and a half to even consider buying this. And I would, based upon these kinds of movements, this would have me staying away. Yeah, I could see doing long-term calls on it. I think you just have to look at what you have to find the closest parity and just be buying time. The implied volatility on the Ford options is going to be like negligent. I like this a lot, Larry. I've been watching V a lot. It was one I'm actually considering for the newsletter. The only reason I haven't done that is because it keeps failing and I keep getting wicks. So you see this wick, Wick City, like they're all over the place. So that just leads me to believe that every time it's getting to this level, it's getting tired and somebody wants to sell it. So why do I want to buy it if somebody wants out, right? Somebody big wants out, or else they wouldn't exist here. And they're doing it over and over again. So until that changes, it's not something that I'm going to go near. I'm just going to avoid it. It's not something that I need to run into. And here you go. Yep. You have earnings coming out the end of the month. So just watch that. But I like it. I mean, it should go. It's just not going. It's just not happening. Let's do XLE. I kind of looked at XLE a little bit earlier, but I'm going to do it again. And I just want to kind of show this because I think this is really interesting what's going on here. Let's see if this loads in. There we go. So let's go to the daily on this. And let's get rid of all this. So this is the XLE. This is the energy sector. Okay. There's an argument to be made here. Let me just shrink this down. That this is a cup and that this could be a very big handle. So here's your cup, right? And then here's your handle. So if that's the case, then these things are setting up to take out the highs. And that's why I actually put a couple of these in the top 10 this week that had the highest relative strength and had the best looking charts, in my opinion. So that's why I put those in there. Now, with that said, you really need to watch this because there's a couple key levels that you were just absolutely unable to stay above. And that 5470 is one of them. So you can actually even see here how we broke that level, right? So you really got to watch this. But I do like this. And it does allude to the fact that we might see pricing going up. And if shipping containers are having an issue, then oil is going to be scarcer. That means the price of oil will go up, which means energy stocks should go up with it, right? Even though like people out of Asia and what they're shipping has nothing to do with it, it still takes the containers, it still takes the ships, it still takes the manpower. So it still can affect, something else that people really aren't putting them together, right? They're not really looking at all that. I try not to get too fundamental on this. I just look at price, but sometimes you have to. Like here, I mean, that's setting up. It's got to break above that. But the issue with it is, where are you really going? Right? So this is cliffs. But where are we going? Like, let's say we break here. I'm going to here. Is it worth it for $2? And here's my stop? Probably not. So, I would say that you're probably better served finding something else. If you're in this and you like it, then stay with it. But if I broke this level, $20, I'd be gone. But it looks like you're going to break. It looks like you're going to get up here and get a couple dollars out of it. So play it out. Let it see how it plays. You're welcome, Larry. Anyone who bought it pre-IPO got it for $3. MTIQ. Let's take a look at that. MTIQ. Can't find it. MITQ. Yeah, I mean, again, this is not something that I would, this is your range on it. It's not something that I'd be looking at. You can see how the big bar, I mean, kind of controlled everything. I don't know. I mean, you're hoping you're hoping when you buy something like this, you're getting in for a spike. I mean, that's really how I look at this. Um, it's not something that I can really chart or look at. You're just hoping that you buy it when it gets tighter, and that's all you'd be looking for in NASCAR. If you're trying to play these, just you want to see it get tight like it is now. See how tight that is? That's all you're looking for. And if it gets tight like that, then just play it. I mean, you could probably throw VWAP against it, right? And see if it's playing around with that. Yeah, you're not really even playing around with those. So, I mean, I would just look for it to get tighter. And then if it gets tighter, give it a shot and just set a stop associated with it. V, I just did, Francesco. I will do MA. V, I like, I'll just do it again real quick. It'll take me 2 seconds. Look, here's your issue with V. Let's get to it. Okay. All these wicks. I don't like all these wicks. We keep trying to break out. We keep getting a wick. I'm not a fan. So I covered it in greater detail earlier, maybe like 5-10 minutes ago. So you can go back. I always leave these up for at least 24 hours. So MA, I mean, you could see what's going on here, right? We have this enormous base, just enormous. And we're trying to get up here. We should. But there's just a lot of support on this one. And they're just walking you up. I like this. I like this more than I like Visa, frankly. So I like when I have solid bars because at least it lets me know that people have conviction. Whether that conviction is to sell or not, I don't care. At least I know where they stand. So let's get rid of this VWAP. We don't know what we're doing there. And then we're just going to click on this. So I would look for that 381 before I would even try to get involved. But if I can clear this here, look. But if I can clear this long red bar and get through the top of that, I'd be interested. Absolutely. No, I haven't seen that. I haven't looked at something like that. I haven't been following it, frankly. Uh, so we'll see. We'll see. I mean, you just have to see. X, like, look, everybody played these because the infrastructure move, right? Let's see what happens with it. I don't, I'm not saying it. Let's take a look at this. Going until tomorrow, yeah. I mean, like, I don't know what the heck's going on there. I know that I wouldn't be ebet. I mean, I know that I wouldn't be buying this. Let me put it to you that way. I wouldn't be going near this thing. Like, I don't know what's going on there. I don't know, man. I don't know if it's going to trade sideways or not. Like, that would scare the living heck out of me. That's so manipulated for it just to be sitting in this range. I mean, just whoever owns it owns it. I mean, there's your break. That would concern me. Here's what would really concern me. If I got below this, if I was long this and I got below that 18, that would really concern me. This looks to me like you should, be afraid. It's an enormous bear flag. So let's just keep going. What are my favorites this week, Matt? The top 10. I would look at that top 10. My favorites are going to be in there. I have to see how they open tomorrow. I really have to see how they open tomorrow. No, I didn't do TNA yet. So I like TNA. I mean, I see what people see in it. And frankly, I have a position in this, so I'm going to be a little biased on this one. So I don't know why I'm having an issue here. There we go. And let's throw these indicators in. So I like this pattern a lot. I like the bounce a lot. And I think we're ready to kind of move up here a little bit. So I actually bought this on Friday. I am not overly concerned about the here, let's get into this. I am not overly concerned about these averages, right? Because we're basing on these averages. So as we base, that's what I'm really looking at, right? I really don't care about them as we base. I care about them as we trend. When we start trending, that's when I really care about them. This I don't care so much about. So for me, everything else seems to be falling into place for it. But I like how we undercut and then bounce through it. Let's get rid of all this again and just look at what's going on here. I don't think I have an enormous trade here. Like, I don't think that I have like, this is going to double or anything like that. But my trade is probably to this 103 at the best. Most likely it's to this 101. And then I have to really reevaluate what I'm doing, right? That's what I'm going to have to focus on. So that's how I'm looking at it. So let's just keep going. Oracle, let's take a look at Oracle. Looks great. I mean, usually the time to buy Oracle is right after earnings, right here. That's usually the time to buy it. Usually by the time you're up here, watch. Right? And you have to be careful of this because it's real. It's right here. Right? You have to be careful of this with Oracle. So, I mean, I like buying Oracle. If I want to own Oracle, I buy it after it comes out with earnings because it always, no matter how great the earnings are, it goes down. Always. So, just for whatever reason, I shouldn't say always. The majority of time, it goes down. So just consider that. I do like it, but you just have to be careful with these. Like here, look at this. Right? You see how it's up here now, and now we're having issues? Right? So all this is aligned, but we're having issues. So we just have to watch that because that could lead to, a retest of this level, 267. So you just have to kind of watch that. When you start getting to those upper channel levels. Let's just see here what else we got. Amazon, melt up. I think Amazon's setting up, Jim, to run. So what's my stop for TNA? Let me just answer that really quickly. Here's my stop for TNA. The low for me, it's the low of this bar. From where I'm in. If I break the low of that bar, I would get out. That's my stop. I don't know that happens. I don't know that it doesn't happen. I think I'm going to I don't expect a big run up tomorrow. Frankly, I'm hoping that it consolidates and just doesn't run up, but we'll see. I'd like it to consolidate and build and then go from there, but we'll see what we get. Amazon simply look. Time is it 7:45? Okay. All right. I'll do a couple more here. So let's just keep going. So Amazon, I mean, let's just get rid of that from the newsletter and let's pull this out. You're building a flag. I mean, you're building, look, you broke out above, clearly broke out, right? And now you're building a flag at the top of this bar. I mean, you're going higher. The question is how to calculate where you're going, right? So let's just go to this. Let's get rid of this. So if I was to look at this, and we can get rid of all this and this, just so when we put these in, we'll kind of see a little bit. So you got to go to the high, and you can go out a year, right? And you can just use the low peak out a year. I mean, there's not really a huge trough besides further back. So where does that really take you, right? I mean, over here, let's pull this down, and we'll get rid of these so that we can clean this up a little bit. So, I mean, this takes you to 4,300, right? You can see these levels. I don't see any reason why you can't get to 4,000 fairly quickly. I just don't see it. I mean, this stock's been basing for over a year. It's set to run. So LHDX, let's take a look. I mean, I got to see volume. If you have volume, maybe. Yeah, I would need to see volume on something like that for me to be interested. Yeah, I don't know if we've hit this. Let me answer this question. Are you similarly worried about Apple? No, no, it's a completely different chart. Could Microsoft's move weigh on Apple? Absolutely. Completely different chart. Here, look. Right? I don't have an upper trend line here that I'm dealing with like I do there. Like, look here on the weekly. Right? Okay. I mean, I should be able to get to 154, 155 before I have an issue. So I don't see the same issue with Apple. You know, they're both heavily weighted in the XLK, so that could happen. But I don't see an issue. So, all right, I'm going to wrap it up here. Anyone else you want me to throw out, or you want done like real quick? I still have to get the finish the newsletter. So just anything else, I'll hang out for another 5 minutes here if you guys want to throw things out there. But overall, I think that we look good market-wise. I mean, I can do that really quickly. Look, I mean, that's the weekly, right? You have till here before you have to be concerned. You have another 10 points. You have another 3% on the weekly. That's how I'm viewing it, right up to here. And then we could stumble a little bit. You know, I always watch those weekly levels. So, but NVIDIA. Oh, here, I'm sorry. Let's just go through this. Sometimes I miss these things. So just thanks for going. I'm confused in my view on Microsoft. If you think large caps are breaking when the money go, we think break channel. I understand why. Because it's not breaking the channel, because it's telling me that it's not doing it. Doesn't mean that it's not going to do it. Like, you know, Brandon, I don't know if you're in the newsletter or not, but like here, look. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. 265 is where we're in at. 274 is my stop, right? I'll walk you through it. Okay. So you see how I am hitting this channel and I can't break? When this happens, that's a clear sign that this is a top. So it's not me saying it's not going to break. It's the stock saying it's not breaking yet, right? So I need to be cognizant of that. So I have an 8-day that it keeps hitting now. I didn't make a higher high on Friday, right? A lot of software stocks made a higher high from Friday, from Thursday. This one just happened to stay right on the line. So now I'm wedged between this line and the 8-day. Well, let me throw this in so that you can understand like a little bit more of the thought process. Okay. Here's the Bollinger Band. So I got up out of my Bollinger Band right here, and then I fell back into my Bollinger Band, making the lower low. Okay. Usually when that happens, I shouldn't say but let me rephrase that. The probability of that happening and pulling back to here is greater because of that. that little move. So if that happens, I don't know that I want to hang out for 10 points and go to 267. Right? I don't know. I'm not saying that this is not going to go up over the course of the year. I'm saying from my investment perspective, I don't know that I want to stay in there and deal with that. That's how I'm viewing it. So hopefully that clears it up. Didn't confuse the issue. The video we got stopped out of in the newsletter with a 100-point gain. I see no reason to buy this stock right now. I have two days below the 8-day moving average. And on top of that, right, I have a low here, right? 805 high. The next day I have an 803 high. So I couldn't even make a higher high. So why would I want to be in that? That's kind of my really short and sweet view on the video. FedEx. Yep. Anytime, Brandon. So I mean, it definitely helps to understand that. Like, why are you saying large caps are going up and you're saying Microsoft has an issue? Maybe Xbox sales are off. You know, we'll find out why afterwards. What is this? FDX. Oh, we got out of this one. Let's remove this. All this text. You know, that whole sector. Look, I mean, Emily, you're not wrong in what you're seeing and what you're spotting. Like, you're dead on. Look, right? I mean, I see what you see. I get it. I've got no volume, and I really don't care that these lines are going straight and they're knocking around. I really could care less. I'm just in this little base here, right? I'm still in an upper channel, but still in that kind of basing here. So I'm not overly worried about that. I would argue that we really need to see a break here. And I would say that every time we're getting close to this level, it's like a hot potato. Boom. You know, right? So let's check the 21-day. But you have to watch when they're basing a little bit. But, you know, you're not overly basing. I don't know. Let's take a look. Let's get in there. Yeah. But you're below the 8-day. So, I mean, I see what you say. I get it. I like the pattern, but this needs to break. If you break this, you have the 50-day to worry about, and you have this to worry about. So just keep that in mind. I see Amazon very shortly going higher. I see a big flag forming. Do I still like ABML at all? Not even a little bit. No. Are you trying to bounce here? You got to these levels? No, just avoid that. LCI. All right, I'm going to have to wrap it up after LCI. No, I wouldn't touch this. I mean, look, these stocks go out of favor. They're going to start going out of favor faster and faster, right? It's like Wish. I really thought that one was going to go. It didn't. And that's what's going to happen with these little guys. You're welcome. Anytime. All right, I am out of here. I got to finish the newsletter and get it out to everybody. Have a great evening, everybody. And I will see you tomorrow at 8:45 a.m. when we do the next pre-market live show.